one puff, they both realized something was off. Frankie, the seller they had trusted, had scammed them. Instead of high-quality British Columbia buds, he'd sold them low-grade Mexican weed. Worse, this product had already made the rounds, smuggled into the U.S., then into Canada, and now back into the States. Their disappointment was huge, but they quickly learned one thing. In this business, you can't trust anyone, not even an old man who seems reliable. Still, the situation wasn't catastrophic. Idaho was far from being a hub for high-quality cannabis, and even low-grade weed could find a buyer. That's when Nate turned to an old friend, Scuzz, for help. Scuzz was only 18 and still in high school, but his life was far from carefree. He'd grown up in a poor household without a father. His mom worked 2 jobs to keep the family afloat, and Scuzz had learned early on to rely on himself. He was the kind of guy who could talk to anyone and find his way out of any situation. Scuzz was well known in his neighborhood as the guy who could get anything. He hustled wherever he could, selling items from garage sales, fixing bikes, sweeping parking lots, and doing odd jobs for neighbors. These skills made him a natural salesman. So when Nate asked him to move a stash of weed, Scuzz didn't hesitate. To him, this was a chance to make some real money and prove he was capable of more. Scuzz got to work immediately. He knew exactly where to find buyers. High school parking lots, skate parks, and old strip malls where teens like to hang out. It only took him a few days to sell the entire stash, bringing in $2,800, double the amount Nate and Topher had initially invested. This success fired Nate up. He turned to Topher and said, "High Times was right. Why isn't everyone doing this? If we double our money every time, we could make $3 million in 14 months.
God damn.
For 2 teenagers, the idea didn't just seem ambitious.
Nigga.
It felt entirely possible.
How is we not going to
what up to me today?
Mistakes drug dealers made. Having a good evening.
No weapons, no wasting money on stupid stuff, and no girlfriends to mess things up.
They tried to ban the first part of the video, so you know, be careful with sharing this one.
His stomach dropped. He braced for the worst. But instead of arresting them, the Canadian cops did something unexpected. They gave them advice. If you're looking for quality weed, you need to go to Nelson, not Creston, and keep it under the speed limit, they said. For Nate, the encounter with the Canadian police and their unexpected advice was a real eye-opener. He had always believed that smuggling marijuana meant constant risk, being chased and facing the threat of arrest. But Canada seemed to play by a completely different set of rules.
Nah, we don't
by
care.
this time,
we don't let you leave.
The country had already established itself as a global leader in the marijuana market.
We don't get money from the person that got the money.
When medical marijuana was legalized,
winning.
The industry had grown rapidly, turning into a multi-billion-dollar market. It was estimated that this business generated around $7 billion annually.
Everything out, you might as well see me puffing.
One of the most remarkable places in this industry was Nelson, a small town in the heart of British Columbia. With a population of just over 10,000 people, Nelson was known for its laid-back attitude toward marijuana. This town was home to some of the finest cannabis strains, sought after not just in Canada, but worldwide. Nelson became a sort of mecca for both cannabis growers and consumers, where local shops and farmers offered top-quality products. Canada's laws were surprisingly lenient. Unlike the U.S., where such activities could lead to lengthy prison sentences, in Canada, growing and selling marijuana was treated almost like any other business. Energized by this new information, Nate and Topher headed to Nelson to find what Frankie couldn't provide: premium products and reliable partners. The town greeted them with its relaxed vibe. Its small streets, lined with hydroponic stores, coffee shops, and souvenir shops, immediately signaled that they had arrived at the center of cannabis culture. Nelson was a place where no one asked unnecessary questions but knew how to get things done. After hours of searching and talking with local entrepreneurs, Nate and Topher finally found what they were looking for: farmers who specialized in growing high-quality cannabis. These people were not only experts in their field, but also had the resources and equipment necessary to produce a product that could compete in any market. The farmers had greenhouses outfitted with state-of-the-art lighting systems, automated irrigation, and precise temperature controls. This allowed them to grow cannabis with unique aromas and high THC levels that set their products